After super time crystalling to the past to destroy the second Fell Dragon Shard, I attempt one last 5-star upgrade chant at the Somniel Well. We refine Vale's Misericord to +2, and Louis' Spear to +5. Then, Morvier believes he's irredeemable and chooses to suffer. Goldmary fails in her attempt at seducing Alir. Vale thanks Merrin for telling her to take pride in being a dragon. Seedal's previous fortune to Vale was a ploy to make her happy. Vale nearly careened off a cliff while wolf riding with Temera. Vale and Morvier pledge to live and save as many people as they can for Marnie. And finally, Morvier once again rightly gets the f*** away from Linden's Elthunder popcorn celebration. Once all that's done, we head to the location of the last Fell Dragon Shard. Arriving at Gradlon Temple, we are warmly welcomed by Lumera, and she's quickly outed as the corrupted final guardian by Vale, and Alir copes with the fact we'll have to fight her. Corrupted Lumera invites us in, but the door has already been sealed before we can enter, thanks to Vale who wanted to solo this chapter for Alir's sake, reminding the unhinged corrupted Lumera of the pain from evil Vale's fatal attack from the end of chapter 3. Regular Vale admits her fault and attempts to end the chapter early. However, her attack only had the effect of angering corrupted Lumera. And just when you think we're about to have an interesting map set up, Alir and co bust in and he's angry at what Lumera has become, who's so far off the deep end that she calls Sombron her lord, and she begs Alir to stay with her. However, Alir sees through her ruse and accepts the fact that the mother he knew is gone, motivating the lonely corrupted Lumera to get rid of those around him on the second to last map of the game, with a disturbing amount of stair tiles. Our army is split into 2 groups of 7 on separate paths, leading to corrupted worms with a revival stone each, before the paths converge beyond the doors to one final room, with a wall of corrupted impeding the way to Lumera, who's not all that impressive aside from the Divine Dragon only 1-2 range sword she wields. As for the preparations, those that will be positioned on the left side are provided warp, rewarp, or rescue, and Panette is fed the goddess icon and boots from the previous chapter. Everyone is split like so, and we start the map, with the goal of defeating the final guardian. Starting turn 1, with the left side, Morvier and Panette take the last 2 spots next to Vale so she can engage to use our final rewarp charge this playthrough, to help those mentioned so far, plus Alir and Seedal, bypass the left path entirely. Seedal engages as well to bondage shield Vale and Morvier at the small enclosure, while Alir engages pluses with his betrothed and closes the gap in the enclosure to mitigate the attacks on Vale, simultaneously eradicating the adjacent Martial Master. Clan engages as well so he can warp Ragnarok in and take the last bondage shield spot, leaving Merrin to await a rescue. For the right, an engaged Temera sets up Great Ether and prepares to intercept the upcoming heroes, leaving everyone else to luckily clear out 2 of the cavalries they can snipe through the wall. Panette and Vale take quite a beating while Alir shreds 2 of his attackers thanks to his Oligoludia. Turn 2, Temera slams Great Ether and the 3 heroes are slain from bottom to top, while Fogado and Alchrist finish off the last cavalry from the dead end. Back at the convergence point, Merrin is rescued by Morvier so we don't have to worry about the left side corrupted, thanks to the door still being up for now. Alir opens a gap for his partner to safely delete a berserker to her right, Clan sanctifies one of the generals, Merrin slays one of the snipers for the right team, Vale drains the life of the remaining corrupted hero, then a refreshed Alir significantly weakens the last general. Turn 3, the right team continue their swift push. Temera moves on up to the pillar tiles, Fogado engages by his sister's side and freezes both cavalries ahead with Torrential Roar, allowing Louis to safely stay at the front. Meanwhile, the convergence point is cleaned up and they help their lagging allies by obliterating their corrupted worm for them. Lumera then telegraphs the map gimmick of the Fell Dragon Shard's wide-range beam. Then Louis is conveniently entrapped further north and neuters one of the frozen corrupted, causing reinforcements to appear from the nearby stair tile for the next 2 turns. Turn 4, the right team wipe out the last few enemies in their path while Tamara blocks off the reinforcements alongside Louis. Despite being warned of the laser dealing huge damage, I still press on with the advanced team by having Merrin hit and run one of the sages on the pillar tile in Lumera's room, where I learn later of a confusing aspect of this map, in which all the enemies in Lumera's room never move. For now, I have everyone else either get away from the warning zone or cautiously bunch with Merrin, and the laser fires, dealing 1 to 21 damage to those caught up in it, which proved to be fatal for Panette as she gets entrapped right afterwards, and despite the high possibility of surviving if only the backup attacks hit her, that isn't the case for this timeline as she fails to dodge a meteor. Despite the mishap, it doesn't deter me from taking advantage of the enemy's immobility, with Clan busting open a gap to the right, while Panette snipes the entrapper, and because of the laser's manageable damage, everyone aside from Vale, who uses Great Sacrifice, presses on. More reinforcements spawn in for the right team, with additional thieves popping up at the topmost stairs from the left and right paths. Turn 5, the right team suffer a few mishaps while attempting to stall their reinforcements. The first mishap is Fogado, attempting to strategically freeze the sages, only to suffer a critical retaliation again for the upteenth time this playthrough, and it occurs again on the next timeline, targeting a different sage. Thirdly, we eliminate at least one of the heroes and fully obstruct the other corrupted, while Tamara fails to hold the rear as just 2 of the corrupted were enough to take her out. So I shift focus to the advanced team for a bit. Panette snipes the sage on the left pillar tile, Alir and Merrin weaken a general and warrior respectively, Clan takes a blow to nuke the middle general, then a refreshed Panette finishes off the warrior Merrin turret. Back on the right, there's no longer an issue, thanks to having altered the RNG enough, and Fogado successfully freezes the reinforcements this time without taking damage. Merrin gets entrapped to the Fell Shard guards, and this heavily worked in our favour as Merrin slaps the first poison stacks on the right corrupted worm and Lumera, while also sabotaging one of the Meteor Tome sages. Turn 6, Fogado freezes as much of the reinforcements as he can while staying ahead. Tamara repositions Ivy so Jean can take that spot and obstruct a tile that will force the enemy to go around. Louis busts the door open, and it unfortunately didn't trigger Cantor, so he lost out on getting refreshed with Goddess Dance. As for those fortunate, Fogado moves ahead, Alcrest shoots down the thief, and Jean heals Louis. Back up top, Clan Bolgagons the last general. Merrin puts one of the Martial Masters at low health and moves in front of Lumera so she can counterattack both corrupted worms. However, this backfires as I had forgotten about the self-destruct skill, which put Merrin in a concussion long enough for Lumera to knock her out. This time around, the right team has Louis end the thief so he can benefit from Goddess Dance, still busting the door after, while the actions of the other 3 are relatively the same. As for the advanced team, Alir and Panette take on the treasure chest guards on each side, with Alir dispatching his one, allowing Clan to loot the Draco shield within. As for Merrin, I still have her move in front of Lumera, gets her to engage, and this time she breaks the revival stone of the right worm. The next beam is telegraphed, Merrin is frozen, and Alir gets entrapped, which doesn't phase him as he ends up finishing the right worm and enacts a 2-range sword exchange with his mother. The left side floodgates open, and the number of reinforcements start quickly ramping up from behind as the map goes on. Turn 7, over on the right team, Fogado lays down the vein of water to allow for more breathing room at the convergence point as everyone else escapes the laser's path, with Louis taking out one of the mage knights at the front, while Jean obstructs a tile below the pillar to protect Fogado from one of the new thief reinforcements. And I burn a charge here as I wanted to throw an additional obstruction with Linden, but for the reinforcements the right team left behind. Back up top, Vale finishes off the left treasure guard so Panette can loot the S-rank dagger inside, which I'll never use. Clan and Seedal escape the laser as well, then Merrin stays put and one-rounds the right martial master this time thanks to Alir's personal skill, allowing Alir himself to take their protection tile and break his mother's first revival stone. Turn 8, Before the rear gets overwhelmed, I come up with a convoluted setup to get everyone into the main hall safely. First off, I use up a time crystal charge after finding out that the vein of water shatters the ice pillars. Lyndon, Jean and Vale share an obstruct staff to create a diagonal wall parallel to the enemy. Then Louis and Alchrist are positioned to be the second line of defense alongside Fogado, who places down the finishing touches with the vein of water. Meanwhile, at the Shard, Panette solos the left Corrupted Worm, Revival Stone and last HP bar. Then the left Martial Master is ended by Merid, and Alir shatters his mother's last Revival Stone. The rear defense worked out better than I expected, with only Fogado getting hurt, and that's all we needed, as now we're on the final turn, where Alir introduces Lumera to her daughter-in-law with Bond Blast.
With the Divine Dragon!
Engage blast!
What have I...
Time. It's moving too fast. I can't seem to keep up.